My beloved child, there is a reason your heart became still before this moment, because someone you love recently heard two completely different opinions about you, and neither voice was ordinary. One voice spoke with certainty, as if they had watched your silence, your patience, and the way you carry emotions you never fully explain. The other voice spoke with doubt, with hesitation, with questions that created a pause in the room. And what happened after that pause is more important than you realize, so don't skip, because something huge is waiting for you. What they heard first was unexpected. A person said that there is something unforgettable about you, something that remains in people's minds even after you leave. They described how your presence carries a calm strength, how even when you say very little, your energy stays behind like an unfinished sentence people keep thinking about later. The one you love did not answer immediately. They listened carefully, because those words reached a place in them they do not often show. But before they could fully absorb that thought, another opinion arrived. This second voice was different. It said that you are difficult to understand, that you hide too much, that sometimes your silence makes others wonder what you truly feel. Those words landed differently. They were not spoken with cruelty, but they carried enough uncertainty to make the one you love look inward and ask themselves whether they have misunderstood something important about you. And that is where everything changed. Because instead of ignoring those opposite opinions, they began comparing every memory they have of you. Every message. Every delayed reply. Every unexpected kindness. Every moment where you stayed quiet when you could have spoken more. They remembered times when your words were soft but meaningful, times when your absence felt louder than anyone else's presence. Stay till the end, because what formed in their mind after that reflection is something very few people know. They began to realize that the first opinion explained something they had already felt secretly. That there is depth in you that does not reveal itself quickly. That you do not offer your heart in loud ways. That even your quietness carries meaning when someone truly pays attention. And suddenly the second opinion no longer felt complete, because they understood that silence is not emptiness. Sometimes silence is protection. Sometimes silence is care. Sometimes silence is a language only certain hearts learn to read. Still, they did not stop thinking. Later, when they were alone, they returned to those two opinions again. One sentence kept echoing louder than the rest: there is more inside that person than they show. That line stayed with them because they already suspected it. They have seen moments when your eyes looked like they wanted to say something but chose restraint instead. They have noticed how you step back when others expect you to move forward. They have noticed your patience even when no one praises it. Don't skip now, because the strongest part is this: the one you love started defending you internally without saying a word aloud. Even while listening to mixed opinions, their heart quietly leaned toward protecting the image they hold of you. They did not announce it. They did not argue openly. But inside, they began rejecting what felt unfair. And while they stayed silent in that conversation, inside them another thought appeared: maybe you are carrying more than people know. Maybe what others call distance is actually caution. Maybe what others call mystery is simply a heart that has learned to move carefully. That thought did not leave quickly. Hours later, something reminded them of you again. A small detail. A familiar phrase. A memory connected to your voice. And suddenly those two opinions no longer sounded equal. One began fading, while the other became stronger, because memories have power when emotions are attached to them. They remembered a moment where you were unexpectedly gentle. They remembered something thoughtful you once did that almost no one else noticed. They remembered how your sincerity appears in fragments, not performances. And that changed the weight of everything they had heard. Something huge is waiting for you, because this inner shift is not finished yet. What they have not said aloud is that hearing two opposite opinions forced them to ask one direct question inside themselves: why do I still keep thinking about this person more than expected? And that question has remained unanswered, because every answer leads back to you. They are now watching more carefully than before. Not because of suspicion, but because curiosity has grown stronger. They want to understand what others cannot explain clearly. They want to know which opinion truly matches who you are, and the truth is, every new thought keeps bringing them closer to seeing you in a deeper way. So while nothing may look different on the outside, something has already begun moving beneath the surface. And the reason you needed to hear this now is because sometimes the most important changes begin quietly, in thoughts no one announces, in moments no one notices, in reflections that happen after ordinary conversations end. Stay till the end in the next part, because what they decided after hearing those two opinions became even more personal, and one private reaction changed everything. Then listen carefully, because after that conversation ended, the one you loved did not simply move on as if nothing had happened. The words followed them into a quieter moment, and that is where the truth began unfolding in a way they did not expect. One opinion kept returning to their mind with unusual force, not because it was louder, but because it matched something they had already felt without knowing how to describe it. They sat with that thought longer than anyone knows. They replayed your name in their mind and attached it to moments they had almost forgotten. A look you once gave. A pause before answering. A moment where your silence said more than ordinary words ever could. And suddenly they understood that people around them may speak about you, but very few actually see what they have quietly noticed. Don't skip, because something huge is waiting for you. A surprising thing happened next. Instead of accepting either opinion fully, they started testing both against memory. They remembered a time when others misunderstood your distance, but they also remembered how carefully you responded when it truly mattered. They remembered how you never forced attention, yet somehow remained unforgettable after leaving. That contrast became impossible for them to ignore. And then one private realization entered their mind: perhaps what others call difficult is actually depth they cannot read quickly. That realization changed the atmosphere inside them. Because once that thought arrived, every earlier doubt began losing strength. The second opinion, the uncertain one, no longer sounded complete. It felt like someone describing only the surface while missing everything hidden underneath. The one you loved noticed that instantly, and that is why your image in their mind became even stronger than before. Stay till the end, because what followed became deeply personal. Later, while doing something ordinary, they suddenly stopped because another memory appeared without warning. It was not dramatic. It was simple. But simplicity carries power when feelings are involved. They remembered the way you handled a moment when you could have spoken more but chose calm instead. They remembered how your restraint felt rare in a world where everyone tries to explain themselves too quickly. That memory spoke louder than both opinions. And now they are no longer listening only to what others say. They are listening to what they themselves have experienced around you. That difference matters more than you know. Because when a person begins trusting their own emotional memory over outside voices, a quiet shift begins. And that shift has already started. Don't skip now. They also noticed something unexpected about themselves. Your name now carries more weight than before. A casual mention of you does not stay casual anymore. It creates attention. It creates reflection. It creates questions they were not asking before. One question especially stayed with them. Why do opposite opinions about you make them want to understand you more instead of stepping away? That question has no simple answer, because the answer is tied to something growing beneath the surface. Something huge is waiting for you. The truth is, hearing two different opinions did not divide their thoughts about you. It actually pushed them closer to deciding what they personally believe. And the more they reflected, the more they leaned toward the feeling that there is something rare in you that many people notice too late. They have started watching details now. Your tone. Your timing. Your quiet reactions. Small things others ignore. Because once curiosity becomes emotional, every small detail begins to matter. And here is what they have not admitted aloud. One sentence from that first opinion stayed with them more than all the rest, that you leave an impact even when you are not trying to. That sentence returned again and again because they know it is true. There are people who speak loudly and disappear quickly. But then there are people whose quietness stays in the mind long after the moment ends. They are beginning to understand that you belong to the second kind. Stay till the end, because in the next part, something even more unexpected happens when another person adds a new detail that completely changes how they see you. And now something even more unexpected began. Because just when they thought those two opinions were enough to think about, a new detail arrived from somewhere they did not expect. It was not planned, it was not dramatic, but it landed with unusual force. Another person mentioned you briefly, almost casually, yet that one short remark added a completely new layer to everything already moving inside their mind. That remark was simple. Sometimes people do not realize how much that person notices. The moment those words were spoken, the one you love became silent again, because that sentence connected instantly with memories they already had. They remembered times when you noticed things others missed. Small changes in mood. Quiet shifts in tone. Moments where you understood more than you openly said. And suddenly they felt that maybe they had underestimated how deeply you observe everything around you. Don't skip, because something huge is waiting for you. That single thought opened another door inside them. They started thinking not only about how others describe you, but about what you may have quietly understood about them all along. That possibility stayed with them longer than expected, because if you notice more than you reveal, then perhaps you have seen feelings they never clearly expressed. And that thought made everything more intense. For the first time, they wondered whether your silence has contained answers they failed to read correctly. They remembered moments where you looked calm, yet your eyes seemed to hold more meaning than your words allowed. They remembered conversations where you ended a sentence gently, but somehow left behind something unfinished that stayed with them later. Stay till the end, because this is where their emotions began shifting in a way they could not ignore. The two opinions they heard earlier no longer felt like outside commentary. Now those opinions became personal mirrors, forcing them to question how much they truly understand you. And the more they thought, the clearer one truth became: your presence affects them more than they admit. That truth arrived quietly, but once it appeared, it did not leave. They tried distracting themselves. They tried returning to ordinary things. But every attempt brought your name back into focus. A phrase reminded them of you. A memory interrupted their attention again. A detail from the past returned stronger than before. Something huge is waiting for you. Because now they are no longer asking what others think about you. They are asking why your image continues returning even after the conversation ended. Why certain memories feel brighter now. Why ordinary moments suddenly connect back to you. And then came the strongest realization yet. They understood that one opinion praised your depth, another questioned your silence, but both opinions proved one thing: you are impossible to describe in one simple sentence. And strangely, that complexity did not push them away. It pulled them closer into wanting to understand more. Don't skip now. They remembered a moment when you said something very ordinary, yet later that same sentence stayed with them for hours. At the time they did not understand why. But now they do. Because some people leave meaning hidden inside simple words, and those meanings become clearer only later. That is exactly what they are experiencing now. The more they reflect, the more they feel that your quiet side carries weight others often overlook. And because of that, they have started protecting certain thoughts about you privately, even from people around them. No announcement. No explanation. Just quiet protection. That means your place in their thoughts is becoming more important than before. Stay till the end, because the next moment changed everything again. They heard one final sentence about you, and that sentence forced them to make a decision inside themselves they have not spoken aloud yet. And then came the final sentence, the one they did not expect to hear, yet the one that stayed longer than every other opinion before it. Someone said quietly, almost as if stating something obvious, "People usually understand that person much later than they should." The one you loved did not answer immediately, because that sentence touched something already growing inside them. It explained why every opinion about you felt incomplete unless they added their own experience to it. It explained why your quietness never felt empty to them, only unfinished, as if there is always more waiting beneath the surface. Don't skip, because something huge is waiting for you. That moment changed their inner decision completely. Instead of letting outside voices shape how they see you, they chose something private. They decided to trust what they themselves have noticed. And what they have noticed is impossible for them to ignore now. They have seen how your smallest actions carry meaning long after the moment ends. They have seen how even your restraint leaves an impression stronger than louder personalities around you. That private decision became stronger when another memory returned unexpectedly. They remembered a moment when you seemed ordinary to everyone else, yet something about your presence stayed in the atmosphere after you were gone. At that time they could not explain it. Now they understand why that memory returned, because it confirms what they are beginning to believe. You are not someone easily understood in one moment. Stay till the end, because the strongest realization came right after that. They began asking themselves a question they had avoided before. Why does every conversation about you feel unfinished until they think about you alone? That question revealed something important. It revealed that your name has started carrying emotional weight inside them that simple opinions cannot change. Something huge is waiting for you. Because once a person begins returning to thoughts of someone in private, that means something deeper has already started moving. And this is exactly where they are now. Quietly reflecting. Quietly comparing words, memories, and feelings. Quietly noticing that no matter what others say, your image remains steady in their mind. Even more surprising, they are now paying attention to details they once ignored. A pause in your tone. A delayed response. A moment of calm where you reveal nothing, yet somehow say more than expected. These details now matter to them because they are no longer listening casually. They are listening with interest. Don't skip now. The final sentence they heard about you did more than add another opinion. It pushed them into making an emotional conclusion they have not shared aloud. There is something rare in the way you leave people thinking after you are gone. That conclusion has become difficult for them to dismiss. And because of that, they have started imagining what may happen if they understand you more clearly than before. What changes if they stop relying on outside voices and trust what their own heart has quietly noticed? That thought is still growing. Stay till the end, because one hidden reaction happened after all of this, a reaction no one around them noticed, but it revealed exactly how deeply your presence has entered their thoughts. For a brief moment, while alone, they smiled at a memory connected to you without even planning to. It happened naturally, before they even realized it. And once they noticed that reaction, they became silent again, because some truths arrive in the smallest gestures. That silent smile told them more than words could. Something huge is waiting for you, because in the next part, what they almost said aloud about you becomes the clearest sign yet that these thoughts are no longer ordinary. What happened next was so quiet that almost no one could have noticed it, yet for the one you love, it became impossible to ignore. After hearing every opinion, after replaying every memory, after questioning what is true and what is incomplete, they almost said something about you aloud, but stopped at the last second. That unfinished sentence mattered more than any spoken word. Because when a thought rises naturally and almost becomes speech, it means it has already settled deeply inside the heart. They were about to describe you, but suddenly realized that simple words no longer felt enough. Every description seemed too small compared to what they have slowly started understanding. Don't skip, because something huge is waiting for you. The truth is, by now they no longer hear those two opinions as separate voices. They hear them as the beginning of a larger answer that only they can complete. One voice said you are deeply memorable. Another voice said you are difficult to fully understand. And now, inside their own mind, they have formed a third thought: maybe both are true, and that is exactly why you remain impossible to forget. That realization stayed with them longer than expected. Later, while alone again, they returned to one specific memory that suddenly felt brighter than before. It was not a dramatic moment. It was simple, almost ordinary, but now it carried unusual meaning. They remembered the exact way you responded during a moment when most people would have spoken quickly, yet you chose calm words that stayed with them afterward. That memory changed something final inside them. Stay till the end, because this is where everything becomes clearer. They understood that people often notice loud personalities first, but certain quiet people become unforgettable only after time reveals their depth. And now they believe you belong to that rare kind. The kind that does not demand attention, yet slowly becomes impossible to remove from thought. Something huge is waiting for you. This is why even after the conversation ended, even after the opinions faded, your name did not leave their mind. Instead, it returned with stronger clarity. They began connecting details from different moments and realizing how often your presence has quietly remained with them. A surprising truth also appeared: they now trust their own feeling about you more than any outside comment. That trust did not come suddenly. It formed slowly through memory, reflection, and the quiet realization that every time they think deeply, they arrive back at you. Don't skip now. Because there is one thing they have still not admitted aloud: hearing others talk about you did not weaken your place in their thoughts, it strengthened it. Every opinion pushed them to look closer, and the closer they looked, the more certain they became that there is far more to you than most people notice immediately. And that certainty created a silent emotional shift. Now when your name appears, they do not react casually anymore. There is always a pause first. A thought. A hidden comparison. A private reflection. That pause reveals more than words. It means your presence now carries meaning they cannot dismiss. Stay till the end, because the strongest part is this: sometimes people realize someone's importance not during direct moments, but later, when quiet thoughts begin returning without invitation. That is exactly what is happening now. Your memory is arriving in ordinary moments and turning them thoughtful. Something huge is waiting for you, because the next chapter is not about what others said, it is about what they may soon choose to do with everything they have now understood.